everyone. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Lona. I'm so glad that you are here to join me. Happy Tuesday. This is being recorded, so if you do need to leave, you'll be able to watch the replay. I'll have that up this evening. I want to tell you what the Stitch Society membership is all about, and I'm here to answer your questions. So if you have questions about the membership, about any of my workshops or my patterns, or just a general knitting question, I'll do my best off the cuff on those. So you've heard me mention the Stitch Society, the membership, the benefits, all of that stuff. If you've been part of the Handmade Holiday Challenge or other events, and I want to tell you what is included, what it's all about, and why it's kind of at the heart of everything that I do. I also sent this email out not just to our friends that are part of the Handmade Holiday Challenge, but also to pretty much most of my email list. So I want to take a quick second, super quick, and just kind of introduce myself in case you're not familiar with me. And maybe you just ended up on my email list from signing up as part of a summit or some other challenge or event or something. So my name is Jessica A's, and I am the knitwear designer and the instructor behind Double the Stitches, the founder of the Stitch Society membership, where knitters come together for patterns, workshops, and a supportive community that really, truly gets it. And I'm also thrilled to be the host of the Knit Happy Summit, where I get to share my love of knitting and help you discover new skills. And as the host, I get to introduce you to some of my favorite people in the yarn world, where you can, at the summit, grow your confidence and enjoy the process of knitting even more. So whether it's through my designs, the Stitch Society, or events like the summit or challenges like this, my mission is really pretty simple. I want to help knitters of all skill levels create beautiful projects, build connections, and most importantly, like the name of the summit, knit happy, right? So why did I create this membership? I stumbled across this comic. This is Pickles. It's a daily and Sunday comic that you may be familiar with, Opal and Earl Pickles. And she is a crafter and he is her husband. And so he's leaning over the couch as she's knitting something. And he says, "What are you knitting?" And she says, "A scarf." And he says, "Oh, how do you even do that without looking?" And she has this question and she wants to know, "Are you really interested in how I do it?" And he says, "No, but I'm pretending I'm interested. Isn't that worth something?" So whether it's a husband, a spouse, a friend, someone in your family, maybe they don't really get it. They don't really understand your passion for knitting, for crafting, all of those things. And they do sometimes, put on a good faith effort to try their best to be interested in what you're doing. Not everyone is lucky enough to have that. And some of us are very lucky where we do have people in our lives that are genuinely interested and do want to accompany you to fiber festivals and hang out with you at the yarn shop and all of those things. But as a fellow knitter, I know what it feels like to spend hours scrolling online for help only to find either conflicting or flat out wrong advice. I've seen so much bad advice in some of those big Facebook groups where people want to help, but they just don't give correct answers all of the time. Sometimes you get absolutely wonderful advice from someone knowledgeable, and sometimes people are taking their best guess or just answering with their knowledge, which may be correct or incorrect. And so sometimes you'll ask a genuine question in one of those gigantic groups and you'll get criticized instead of encouraged. Maybe you feel isolated when no one around you really gets the joy of yarn and stitches and creating something with your hands, with your skills, with your talents. And for me, I know, and I know many of you also, knitting isn't just a hobby. It's your creative outlet, it's your calming ritual, and sometimes it's the only thing that can keep us grounded and sane on a hard day or going through a very hard time. And that's why I built the Stitch Society, because I wanted to create the cozy space that I was looking for when you don't have to knit alone. It's community plus education plus encouragement all woven together, and a place where your questions are welcomed, your wins are celebrated, and your love of knitting is shared by friends who truly understand. Today in the Stitch Society group, I just actually put up a post because I am trying to figure out what projects I'm going to enter into the county fair, the local fair. And so I was reaching out to fellow members to see, what they've entered. if they've had that experience of winning. I won a bunch of ribbons the last time I entered, not this past year, but the one before. And it's so nice to be able to celebrate that accomplishment with people who really do understand, who have at least maybe tried or gone to the fair and looked at these other projects, and maybe they've entered and won. We have some who've entered and won Best of Show. So congrats to you, Chris, on that. And sometimes this all comes to life. This vision, this dream came to life kind of like in this relatable way with this Pickles comic strip, where Opal was so excited about her craft and Earl pretends to listen. So does anyone else have an Earl in their life? Let me know in the chat. I'm gonna head over and check the chat. Michelle says an AI has made it worse. Neith says, yep. Debbie says that is my family thinks it's nothing special to knit clothes. So you're not alone, friends. For those of you who are wishing that you had someone in your life that truly was excited for you, that truly understood, that truly wanted to celebrate the highs, but also wanted to be there to help you through the troubles, the difficulties, because not everything in knitting is easy, and I don't want to pretend that it is, and we run into challenges. And that's why I built a Stitch Society, because that's what I wanted to build for myself. And so if you build it, they will come, they say in the movies. And so Stitch Society members, and myself especially, really do care about you and about your stitches and your stories, about your knitting and your crafting and all of that stuff. Let me just quickly check the chat again. Catherine says that would be my family except for my sister. And Michelle says some who try to be interested, but they get exhausted fast. I crochet and I'm learning to knit. Patty is very lucky. Patty says my husband supports my addiction. It can be, right? And Deborah says the Pickles remind me of my parents. My dad was hugely supportive, but he didn't understand it. And he'd ask good questions, and he took mom to fiber festivals all of the time. I love that. Linda says, I don't do Zoom often, so it took a few to find the chat. Howdy from humid and hot Central Texas. Let's continue. So what is included in the Stitch Society membership? So if any of my members are here, you know that I love to spoil my members. And if you are thinking of joining, now is a really great time to join. I want to share what's already included and then some upcoming things that you will also get as a member. So inside the monthly membership, which you can also join as a 6-month member or an annual, but each month you get a code from me for a pattern value of $8 to $10 every month. You don't necessarily have to use that code for whatever my most recent pattern is. And then I thought about it and I realized that maybe my newest pattern is a shawl, but you don't wear shawls. You have no use for them. You don't like to knit them. You don't enjoy them. But I have many, many others. Right now, I have more than 65 patterns published on Ravelry. And so I switched the way that I do this because I wanted you to be able to pick something that fits your life right now. So maybe I just released a shawl, and while maybe you think it's pretty, it's not for you. And you have maybe some new babies coming to the family. So you would much rather knit maybe a hat for a baby or a blanket or something like that. So, and maybe you would rather knit a sweater, and maybe you would rather knit a cowl. You don't really like wearing shawls because maybe they fall off, and you'd rather a cowl or mitts or whatever. So instead of giving you just whatever my most recent pattern is, I want you to be able to take advantage of the full catalog of patterns that I've designed and I am continuing to design. So you get a code on Ravelry that you can use. Codes, I usually have an expiration of about 3 months. So even if that week there isn't something that you want, you can hang on to that for a little bit and then come back and redeem it when you're ready. We also have 2 social stitch sessions on Zoom every month, and I'll talk more about those. It's kind of my version of a virtual knit night. We can get together, chat, laugh, learn, and just spend time together in community twice a month. I did have one on Saturday afternoon for the Handmade Holiday Challenge and Stitch Society members. So if any of you joined, that is pretty much what we do twice a month. So it was a good taste of what we actually do. I have another one this evening. This is for those who grabbed the Head Start kit. There's a $27 code that you can use towards the membership if you want. Make sure that you redeem that. You also get priority pattern support from me. So I have often had members reach out and they were struggling to understand a part of a pattern that they were knitting. I hope that it's my patterns, but I will, if I can, support you with other patterns as well, as long as I'm able. I don't guarantee, but if I can, I absolutely will. And what that might look like is maybe a more detailed email answer to your question, or it might look like me turning on my camera and recording my hands actually doing the stitch. And I recently just helped Susan is trying to reknit a sweater that she loves that her mom had made for her, and she wanted to knit it herself in a different color and all of that. And she was struggling to understand the directions for the ribbing. And she sent me just the ribbing, not the whole pattern. I never want to violate another designer's copyright. If it's a current pattern, often I will buy it if I feel like I need to look at more than just a couple of lines of the pattern. So I do respect designer copyrights, and this is not my way of trying to build my own pattern library. I'm happy to support designers and want to help and support you if I can. So I recorded a video for her of me knitting the ribbing that was in the pattern and shared that with her. So now she was able to get past the ribbing part. And now there's another question that we're working through about the different charts. And I have someone else who is working on a shawl, and there is a knitted on border at the end of the shawl, and she's up to that point. And so she just needs a little bit of help. And so that is on my list to record tomorrow and to share with her. And so there is a request form where you can share the details of what you're struggling with, and then I will either respond with a more detailed answer or just a video of me talking, or I'll actually film a tutorial for that. So that's what priority pattern support looks like from me. I do also have a Stitch and Technique library that you have access to as a member, and that is ever growing. Sometimes it is small and short tutorials like this ribbing and the shawl, the border. Those are going to go into the library so that other members will have access to watch those videos in case they are struggling with those things. Sometimes it turns into a little mini workshop. Someone had asked about how to knit magic loop, and that became not just how to knit magic loop, but then also how to knit socks 2 at a time using magic loop. So not really a pattern there, but a formula that you can apply for doing that method on a different sock pattern. I also have opened up my Zoom to members, so you can make plans with a fellow Stitch Society member and book a virtual knit date anytime in the private Zoom room. I do ask that you don't share that link with, the outside world, because I do pay for it, but it is part of the membership. So you have access to that. We have a private Facebook community. It is just for members. And then something I'm working on building, and I do already have a few secured for you all, but members only discounts on yarn, indie dyers, and things like that. So there's a couple already in the classroom for you all. So those codes are just for members. They are typically a one-time use code, but something that you can use on for a percentage off, that type of a thing, from some of my favorite indie dyers. So when we add that all up, the total monthly value each month is more than $115, but your membership is just $27 a month. It will soon be going up to $37, but for now I'm holding steady because the world around us is getting much more expensive by the day, and I'm trying to hold that price for as long as I possibly can, but that price will be going up. In addition to that, you also get access to my future workshops. These are deep dives, knit and crochet, mostly knit, but I do have a Granny Square Day workshop that's in the classroom already. Deep dives kind of intended to further enhance your skills. I have 2 more workshops planned for this calendar year as something that I called Knit Your Year. I'm teaching shawl shapes, and I am doing something I'm calling Sweater School. You also get member only voting power, which is something where if I am working on a pattern and I am trying to decide between a couple of different ways to do it, I may post a picture in our community and ask for members to share their thoughts, which is more interesting or appealing or catches their attention more, that type of a thing. You also get early access to pattern tester calls for my knitting patterns. This is not a requirement. This is a feature of the membership because members do sometimes like to know a little bit more about the behind the scenes of what goes into designing one of my patterns. So I open that up to you. So I ask my Stitch Society members first, and then if I don't get as many testers as I'm hoping, then I open it up more publicly. And like I mentioned, the exclusive members only Facebook community group. Oh, Lona says Jessica is amazing and a fantastic teacher. $433 in bonus workshops included for free with your membership. These are on demand for you, so you can watch them anytime on your own schedule at your own pace. You can pause, rewind, revisit them anytime, so you get access to all of those workshops as part of the membership. It's my beginner's guide to lace knitting, the Conquer Cable Knitting Workshop, my Oops, Learn to Fix Your Own Knitting Mistakes, a Taste of Brioche, which was a 6-week deep dive workshop on brioche knitting. And that one actually includes 3 patterns. Tiny Treasures was a challenge I did 2 years in a row. 1 year I did toe up and 1 year I did cuff down. And so you get access to both. We also did a double dare double knitting challenge. So you have access to those replays. You also get my mosaic knitting challenge, and you get the access to the replays for the handmade holiday challenge. Learn to knit cables, reversible cables, learn to fix a mistake in your cable when it zigs instead of zags, learn to read cable charts is included in the Conquer Cable Knitting Workshop. And the Oops Workshop, learn to fix the most common knitting mistakes that we all make with my Oops Workshop. And brioche, we talk about all different kinds of brioche. We talk about 2-color brioche worked in the round, but we also talk about 1-color brioche. We talk about knitting brioche flat, variations on brioche like the bee stitch and fisherman's rib, and we talk about increases and decreases. So you have pretty much all of the foundational skills for basic brioche as part of that workshop. And so the question often, of course, is how much does it actually cost to join? Like I mentioned, it will be $37 per month or $370 per year. But for now, I'm doing my best holding strong with the current prices for right now. It is $27 per month to get access to everything. I do have the different payment options. I include everything at the monthly price, and you save a little bit when you join for 6 months, or you get 2 months free when you sign up for a year. So when you join for a year, it's less than 75 cents a day. And it is a really great deal. The other thing, which I didn't get to mention yet, is that, so I mentioned the Knit Happy Summit, which I am hosting again in November. And everyone who is an active, current paid up Stitch Society membership, whatever plan you're on, when I host the summit in November, will get access not only just to join me for the summit for free like everyone else, but you'll also get access to the extended access pass for the event. That will give you ongoing access, basically lifetime. So ongoing access for as long as I am running Double the Stitches, but I have no plans of going anywhere. So you'll also get that, which is a $47 value, but you still have to be a member in November when I host that event. And then I get questions also from knitters wondering if Stitch Society is right for them if they are a beginner. And I really do, I hope so. Oh, thank you, Laura. Laura says, Stitch Society is a very supportive group. Jessica is a patient teacher, and I value the input from members. When we get together on Zoom, there is a wealth of knowledge, hundreds and hundreds of years when we all get together in a large group of knowledge among you all. And so I respect that you maybe had different experiences, different struggles that you've had in your knitting. And I encourage members to share their perspective, their thoughts, and their feedback. And that can be very helpful for our newer members as well. So I am happy to provide support no matter where you are in your knitting journey. If you get stuck on a stitch or a technique that's new to you, I do recommend some experience, like knowing the basic stitches, like how to knit and how to purl. Beyond that, I'm happy to guide and to help you to expand your knitting skills, to expand what you feel comfortable doing, what you feel capable, what you feel confident in doing. So I'm happy to create an extra video if needed, whatever I can do to meet you where you are. But it is difficult to teach someone who's never held knitting needles in their hands and doesn't know how to knit and purl. So once you know the basics, I'm here for you. And then I also have people sometimes reach out and wonder, because they're already a great knitter, a confident knitter, knitting for 60 years, teaching others to knit. Laura is a great example of that. Laura hosts a knit group in her home every week, but I do think that she has benefited from being part of the group. We have others who knit blue ribbon winning shawls all of the time, and then some who've only recently picked up their needles for the first time in the last year. And my goal is for the Stitch Society to be fun and welcoming and enjoyable, and a community where you can play with what you already know and maybe pick up a tip or trick that you haven't considered before, or just find people that understand and appreciate everything that goes into knitting and why you're so obsessed with yarn and why you get so excited when your favorite indie dyer releases a new color. Even if you are an experienced knitter, you'll still get a new pattern every month. Who doesn't love more patterns? Our virtual coffee chats, our stitch sessions over Zoom. There is a back catalog of some interviews that I have done with some of my favorite people in the fiber industry. You get to join me for future workshops that I teach online. And again, the Knit Happy Summit, you'll get access to that as well. Others wonder if they will need a lot of fancy computer skills. My goal is really to keep everything as simple as I possibly can. So our live events typically take place on Zoom, just like this, and can be accessed from a mobile phone, a tablet, a laptop, a desktop computer. Sometimes there will be things that are hosted in the Facebook group, like we've done with the challenge. Knitting patterns are delivered as PDFs, typically sent as a code for you to redeem on Ravelry. If you don't use Ravelry, reach out to me and I can email it to you directly. There's no fancy tools or apps or computer programs to purchase. There's no, other than I guess Zoom and Facebook, there's no. Linda says, I'm new to Stitch Society and I just finished the Granny Square workshop. It's something I've wanted to learn for a long while because I'm trying to learn how to crochet. Jessica made it so easy to understand. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Michelle says that makes sense. I'm a crocheter and I'm learning to knit. So when I heard Granny Square, I thought, do knitters do Granny Square? So knitters can do squares, but typically they're different. They can be from the center out and eventually become a square. But yes, oh, Debbie says this is a great group. I love it. Thank you all. Thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate them so much. And I will give a tour of the Stitch Society classroom in just a moment as well, so you can see what that is there. A question that comes up is, do I have to use Facebook? So you do not have to use Facebook, but that is where the community is hosted. So you're welcome to be part of the membership and you can access the classroom and you can access the Zoom sessions. Anything that I do host in Facebook would be recorded and added to the classroom later, so you'd be able to catch the replay. So really, the majority of the membership content is either Zoom or our classroom, which is website-based. The monthly pattern, we talked about that a little bit. Some want to know what kind of patterns they're getting. Are the patterns tech edited and are they test knit? And absolutely, 100%, it is such a valuable part of the designing process for me, because I think that your time, your yarny time, should be enjoyable. And I appreciate that you entrust me with that time. So I do use a professional tech editor who has superpowers. She puts herself in your shoes to find those tricky bits that may be unclear and help make the pattern as easy to follow as possible. But she is also human. So I have a team of, there's over 100 people in my test knitting pool. They don't all test every pattern, but their skill levels vary from beginner to advanced. And that's something that is very important to me. I don't just want test knitters that are advanced, because depending on where we are in our knitting journey, there are different things that you will pick up on in a pattern. And I want that perspective from both ends of that spectrum. And as a member, you're always welcome to test knit, but it's never an obligation or a requirement. Some just like to be part of that process. So I like to include you and offer you that kind of behind the scenes look of what a pattern starts out with to how it actually turns out in the end. But when you do test knit for me, you are getting a fully formatted pattern. So the experience is, other than checking some math and some numbers and things like that, generally speaking, it's like you are knitting from the pattern formatted as though it would be purchased. So that is my promise to you, that when you sign up, as long as you remain a current member, meaning that you don't cancel your membership and your account stays in good standing with no break in membership, whatever membership price you get when you join, that will always be your price. I will never raise the price on you. I still have people who joined like 3.5 years ago paying the very, very discounted founding member price. And I'm thrilled that they have been with me through the years, through all of it. And so I will always honor your price as long as there's no break in your membership. Do I have a team? Will we be dealing with me, or will someone else help? So I do have a very lovely, wonderful virtual assistant who mostly helps me with scheduling emails and things like that. But customer support is me. Except during the summit, she helps out because then the inbox is overloaded. But membership wise, you're dealing directly with me always. So I'm the one that will respond to your questions. I'm the one, if you're looking for priority pattern support for help with something, it's coming directly from me. I'm not handing that off to a team member. And just a couple more, then I'm going to give you a tour of the membership and share the code to use on Ravelry. If you don't use Ravelry, reply to the email that you got with the link and let me know, and I'll give you a code that you can use on PayHip, which is another website. Live events. So let's talk about when live events typically are. So our stitch sessions, I do my best to host those at times that are convenient for my life, of course, but to vary them and make them so that hopefully you can join us for at least one. And I try to respect time zones as much as I can, but I do have members that span all the way from the west coast of the US and California all the way through. I have members in the UK and Austria and Australia. So time zones are probably one of the hardest parts of what I do, is figuring out times that are good for people. And so in order to do that, typically I will have a stitch session during the week. It's usually a Tuesday or a Thursday evening. It's usually at 7 o'clock Eastern. That's just what fits into my life here. And then so people that work during the day, except for our West Coast friends, may be able to join us in the evening if they work or have other commitments during the day. And then I usually will do a weekend event, and I switch those off between Saturdays and Sundays. Typically those are at 2 o'clock Eastern time, unless something happens and comes up. So I might vary those, but typically that's when the live stitch sessions are. And are there replays for the live events if you can't make them live? So the stitch sessions, excuse me, the stitch sessions, I don't do replays for those, because to me, that's like getting together with your friends over coffee and letting the conversation go wherever it is. And I don't ever want our conversations to be out there publicly. And to me, it feels like watching a replay of other people having a conversation feels like it just doesn't sit right with me. So I don't do replays for those, but other types of events, any workshops, if I ever bring someone in to have an interview, all of those will always have this and replay access to those as well. Cindy says, I joined after the last Knit Happy Summit and I've loved being a member. And Laura says, I love test knitting. And Gloria's here too. Wonderful. So happy to see so many of you all. Someone had asked in the past if they could gift a Stitch Society membership to another knitter. So this is something that I think we can work out. To offer a gift subscription, I have an option where it can be set up to be like, say, just a 6-month membership or just an annual membership that won't renew unless you reach out to renew it as far as for a gift. So if you have someone in your life that you would like to give a gift of membership to, just send me an email and we can get that all set up. And then I'll send the login details and to that person and when they're ready to activate their membership. So there are 3 ways to join: monthly, 6 months, or annual. For monthly membership, you can cancel your membership at any time by sending there's a form in your classroom to fill out that basically just your name and a couple of quick questions, and that allows us to process the membership. I do ask for 10 business days notice so that I make sure that your payment doesn't go through. So you can cancel anytime, but it would be for the next month's membership. For annual and 6-month commitments, you're prepaying for 6 months of membership or prepaying for an annual, a year of membership, meaning that if you cancel, it will not renew for the 6-month or 12-month commitment, but I'm not able to offer refunds because of the way that everything is set up. So I do appreciate you understanding that, but you do save if you go for the longer term prepayment. Before I dive into sharing our classroom, feel free to ask in the chat. I'm happy to stay on for a bit and answer any of your questions. I want to share the classroom, give you a little bit of a tour of that. This is the behind the scenes tour of the Stitch Society classroom. If you scroll down, all of the different workshops that are available to purchase are all here. They're available to purchase independently. You also get my Fair Isle Fundamentals workshop, which I didn't list as a bonus, and start to finish cast-ons and bind-offs. So you'll get access to those as well. In order to log in, there at the top, there is a sign-in link. One of the things that I love about the classroom is that it has the ability for you to adjust the font size on your screen. So you can press that little T and you can make things bigger if you need them. And once you're signed in, you will see a few things. So on the left is 2 horizontal bars if you're on a desktop, and that shows you everything that you have access to. If there's anything that you don't have access to, it is listed in available products. There is a leaderboard, so we can celebrate Kathy, who's the top engager. She has earned 700 points for going through different lessons in the classroom. Just a little, fun encouragement. The T will allow you to adjust the font size. And if you click on the little person icon, you can click on your profile. You can change your password if you need to. It shows your account settings. If you don't want to be listed in the leaderboard, that's okay. You can select no. You don't need this because I don't have a community as part of the classroom, so you don't have to worry about that. But let's go to the fun stuff. If you click back on the logo up at the top there, and you click on Stitch Society membership, then you will see I have it kind of divided into sections. So the Start Here section gives you a little welcome from me, a link to our membership calendar, which is always viewable on the page right here. This is a Google Calendar that's embedded. but there is also a way to subscribe to the calendar. So when you click on the link, you can print out this page if you want. There's a little printer icon if you are someone who likes hard copies better, or you can click on follow calendar and pick the calendar type that you use. If it's Google or Apple or Yahoo or Outlook, all of those options are there for you. This is a link to the Facebook group, so you can join there. This is the link for our stitch session. So it's the same link always, all of the time. I do send reminder emails usually a day or two before, and then about a half hour before we start. But in case you can't find the link that is in there, there's also a separate link for what I call chit chat on Zoom. That's where you can make a knit date with any of our members. A place to update your billing details if you click that link. And the form I said, as far as to cancel or to pause your membership, is just a simple form. So you click there, enter your information. Some FAQs are there as well. So let's go to more of the fun stuff. So the workshops, we click view this module. You'll see all the workshops that are included as part of the membership. So those are all there for you. Granny Square Day is there, like we were just talking about. For example, let's look at the brioche one. This says I'm already logged into it, so I don't need to do anything. I can just close that window. So this is my A Taste of Brioche workshop. As part of it, you get access to an ear warmer pattern, a cowl pattern. It looks like that. The hat that I held up and showed you. There's also a brioche stitch and symbol cheat sheet, so you get that as well. So this is week 1. We talk about brioche basics, and week 1 has 8 different lessons. So you can go through each one, and as you finish them, you can mark them complete. If the lesson has a transcript or any other downloads, then there is a link to that there for you. Within the lessons, you can turn on subtitles. There's also a transcript. I try to make things as accessible as I possibly can for you all. The transcript is also searchable. So if you're searching for something specific, then you can search in the search box and find that. Each week was a bunch of different lessons, and that's all in there for you. And so there's a ton of different workshops. There's also other resources for you. And then I'm going to open this up for some Q&A in case any of you are hanging out with a question you'd like to ask me. These are some of the resources that are available to you. So a general stitch and chart symbols, techniques, all of that kind of stuff is in there. One of my favorite things, since we've been doing the Handmade Holiday Challenge, is printable gift tags for your handmade gifts. So you get access to those as part of the membership. Everything from Handmade with Love to a couple of funny ones. This took me forever to make. I used the good yarn, but they also have a place for you to put your care instructions. So whether it's hand wash only or tumble dry low or machine wash gentle, and a place where you can also include the fiber content that's on all of those tags. The knitting habit tracker is in there for you too. The last one I'll show you is there's a Google Sheet you have access to that will help you calculate your yarn usage, which is great if you think that you might want to remake something again in the future, or if you're test knitting and the designer wants to know how much yarn did you actually use. So in the yellow, you'll enter information, and the white boxes will be returned with answers for you. So you started with how many grams were in the skein and how many yards, and then you'll weigh it using like a postal scale or a kitchen scale to know how many grams you used in the project. And then it will give you, we even add 10% to be safe so you don't play yarn chicken. So that's the basics of the classroom there. Laura says, I'm a good knitter, but terrible at technology. Jessica's always patient and helpful when explaining things to me, how to post things, navigate her site, and Ravelry. Question in the chat. Jan says, I have a non-membership question. If you can, what type of yarn do you recommend when a person is allergic to wool? So some people who are allergic or sensitive to wool, for socks, I would try bamboo. Universal Yarn makes a bamboo pop sock yarn. So it's a sock weight yarn. It's not too expensive. I just Googled it. Jimmy Beans has it for like $11.50, which compared to a skein of indie dyed yarn is a pretty good deal. There's also another one, Kobasi, which is cotton bamboo, and I forget what the maybe silk or nylon. I'm not sure what the other fiber in Kobasi is, but I think Haiku makes that. So I love Barocco Comfort Sock. It's synthetic, but no latex and comfy and lovely self-striping options or neutrals. I just found Cascade Yarns cotton socks that I want to try. You can also find odd discontinued Michael's Wool-like or Bernat socks on eBay or stash sales on Ravelry. So there are definitely options. You can definitely still knit socks. Does anyone have any questions for me? Otherwise, I'll share a few kind words from some of our members, and I will grab the Ravelry link. I appreciate you all hanging out with me. If you have questions about the membership, please don't hesitate. Send me a message, send me an email, reply to my email. Laura says I used Kobu for knitted knockers and it was very splitty. Yeah, I have a bunch of Kobu that I bought that I did not like knitting with or crocheting with. I tried both and I didn't love it personally. So I just added into the chat. This will give you a free pattern of your choice from my collection. I think there are 65-ish patterns there to pick from. The code does expire on Friday, so don't wait. Grab a pattern. I'll add it back in the chat again before we go, but it is Knit Friend, all one word, no spaces, no dashes. Michelle says, what would you recommend for a super newbie? As far as a pattern, there are a few things I will share with you. So this is a spa set. It's like a spa cloth and a soap sack. It has a tiny bit of easy lace, like yarn overs and knit two togethers. If you wanted to dive into trying to learn that. And then with the soap sack, you can practice learning to knit in the round. I also have a bib and a burp cloth, which is just a knit and purl texture. And then we cast off and then knit the strap and make a buttonhole. So that's a nice one. Knit with a cotton yarn it makes a really nice baby gift. Another one for a brand new to knitting. I do have some crochet patterns. I think there's 3 there. This is a tote bag that I had designed a couple of years ago. So if you like to crochet, you can grab that too. There's also a crochet scarf. If you're looking for something just knits and purls knit flat, this is a blanket. It has 1, 2, 3, 5 sizes. So everything from a car seat to a stroller, a crib blanket, a toddler blanket, or an adult throw. And it's just knits and purls. It's really simple. If you are looking to make your first hat, this is also really, really simple. I call it variations because I include 4 different options for the brim. So, and then the rest of it is a basic hat. It's knit with chunky yarn, so it works up pretty quickly. And it's knit on size 10.5 needles. If you want a little bit, something more, this is also a hat. That is one of my boys. And it's also just knits and purls, and this matches the blanket that I just showed you. So those are some ideas for some simple, brand new beginner knitter patterns rather. This is a cowl pattern that I designed that is knits and purls, and there's a simple, like a yarn over knit two together for some eyelets. And that is what it looks like flat. So depending on how new of a newbie you are, those are some good ideas of a place to start. Nella had asked if the Stitch Society membership also gives access to the super pack in the Knit Happy Summit. It gives access to the extended access pass. So I will give you a code if you want the super pack. I call it the VIP Happy Knitters Toolkit. So you can apply the price of the extended access pass to the VIP version. So it's usually only like $10 or $20 extra to go to the upgrade. I do that because I got some feedback from speakers that I was giving away their stuff for free last year. And so I want to give what I can and keep everyone happy. So I, don't want to ruffle any feathers. And I am so grateful for my speakers. So this was the compromise. So you get, which is like a $47 value. And then the upgrade, I think, is like $67. So it's $20, but then you get all the speaker bonuses and all of that stuff. If you're a member, then I will be offering something for the membership. So you'd already be a member, so you wouldn't need that. Anyway, that's the answer. Fiona is still working hard on the mosaic, the double win mosaic shawl, I think you mean, Fiona. And everyone loves the pattern. Oh, that makes me so happy. That might be what I enter into my county fair. We'll see. All right, I'm going to drop that link again in the chat in case anyone missed it. Does anyone have any other questions for me? Workshops, patterns, summits, any of those things? And I will send out the full replay this afternoon. I'm glad that you were here. Put in a picture, but bad internet. Oh, do you mean of the shawl? I don't see it yet, Fiona. If you can later add it in the group, I would love to see it. And I'm just double checking to see if anyone has any questions. Thank you. Also love your patterns. I've made a few of them. They're always well written. Thank you. That means so much. Lona says, can you add a list to the planner next year as to how many strands of a yarn are needed to make a heavier yarn? For example, blank strands of fingering or sport make a DK. Yeah, I'm gonna take a screenshot of that so I remember. And all right, does anyone else have any questions? Michael says, thank you so much, Jessica. I selected the double win mosaic shawl. It looks beautiful. Thank you. I will add the link again here, and then we can wrap things up unless anyone has more questions for me. And I will just share. Just a couple of, there we go. Not that one, this one. So just a couple of things that people have shared with me that they love about being in the Stitch Society membership. Kathy said, I love being able to knit with others on Zoom. I love knitting new challenges. My knitting group are mainly new knitters and don't want to try something new. Instead of helping new knitters, I can just knit and learn with this group. And Carol said, I love knowing I have a whole group of people, as Jessica calls us, a village for help and little tricks to make knitting easier. Just being in a group of like-minded knitters, and Jessica's positive, sweet, and uplifting attitude and passion for teaching all of us what she knows. And Wendy had shared the community aspect of the Stitch Society has been a joy for me. I have learned some great tips from many. All the tutorials and workshops have been great. Knitting 2 socks at once is my favorite. I talked about that earlier. This group filled a hole I didn't know about. Sharing my hobby with other like people has been great. And Lonnie said, welcome new members. I've been knitting for 18 years and joined the Stitch Society in December after learning of it through Marley Bird's 24 Days of Quickies Countdown. Lots of great creative folks in here. Jessica keeps things interesting for new stitchers as well as experienced stitchers. And I'll share one last one, and this is from Frances, and it's long. It's 2 slides worth, but I just wanted to share it. She's been a longtime member. And she said that you've done an amazing job providing a much needed community and continue to inspire knitters. You are so kind and so sweet, and it comes through so clearly in everything you do. Your patterns are so clear and easy to follow. I've been finally able to transition over to knitting with charts, and it's made a world of difference. It's reduced the counting and often helps to prevent mistakes while also helping me to recognize and correct them much sooner. I will just end with the value of everything in a year of Stitch Society membership is $1,380. And yes, holy cow, that is a lot of stuff for just $27 a month. And you can save even more when you sign up for the 6-month plan or the best deal with the annual membership. The price for membership, so $27 per month. If you sign up for 6 months, it's $149. And if you sign up for a year, you get 2 months free at $270 per year. If you grabbed the Head Start kit, you have a $27 code to redeem, and you can get your first month of membership for no additional cost, or you can use that same code and apply it to either 6 months or the year. So this is the link is doublethestitches.com/Stitch Society if you're ready to level up your knitting skills and find your fiber community. You can join the Stitch Society to unlock a world of creativity and connection and our vibrant community of passionate knitters so you don't feel alone in your craft. And if you have questions, please reach out. Being on the fence, this is something that my mentor has told me, and it's 100% true. Being on the fence is the hardest place to be and the worst feeling when you're on the fence, because you want to make a decision, but you feel kind of stuck. If there is something that might be holding you back from taking the leap and giving it a try, reach out to me, ask me, let me know what you're wondering so that I can help you make the best decision for you. I am not a hard pressure car salesman. I'll answer you honestly and let what I think, the answer is to your question or whatever is holding you back. So be happy to chat with you. Send me an email at hello@doublethestitches.com. And don't forget to grab your pattern. I will put it one last time over in the chat. It's beautiful. I love the blues. They look really great together. I'm so proud of you for continuing on. I know it feels like a little bit of a slog sometimes. Very proud to see that lifeline. Good job. That's one of my favorite things, and I'm so thrilled that you shared it here with us all. So thank you for that. I'm going to quickly check and see if there are any other questions here in the chat. All right, friends. So thank you again for joining me for this. I will share the replay in your email. For the friends who have joined us for the challenge, I'll add it to that page too, so you don't have to look too far for it. But I will share the link to watch the replay this evening, and we have a stitch session tonight at 7 o'clock. So if you have the Head Start kit, or you are an existing Stitch Society member, or you join the Stitch Society membership before about 5 o'clock or so tonight, I'll make sure everything is set. So you have the link to join us tonight at 7 o'clock. I appreciate you all, and I will see you all soon and hope to see a bunch of you tonight at 7 o'clock. That's a different Zoom link. I'll send that link up before we get started. Thank you, everyone. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.